much like this road here, is where the massacre occurred. Now, this happened not far from the River Road in Nassau County. William Henry Wingate, 71, and Scriven Wingate, 41. And Scriven's son, 7-year-old Leonard Wingate, were traveling down a road much like this one. And from the recount, they had crossed over the creek and started up an incline. As they started up the incline, two brothers, Allen and William Rowe, stepped out from behind the bushes and shot into the car about 20 times, killing William Henry Wingate and Scriven Wingate, and wounding a young Leonard Wingate. This was in 1922. It was August the 10th, 1922. Actually, just a few months ago would have been the 100th anniversary of this murder. So, William Wingate then grabbed Leonard Wingate by the hair and pulled him out of the car, threw him to the ground, and told him to get. So Leonard, scared, run off to the woods, and I think he probably just went out of distance where they could see him. And there's two different accounts of what happened. One said he ran back to Lewis Kirkland's house, told him, and another account said that they found Leonard in the car the next morning. Now, after Leonard had left the scene, the Rowe brothers mutilated the two bodies that were in the car. Now, I've been told this story since I was young. Scriven Wingate was married to my great aunt, great aunt actually. Well, let's see, my great aunt, Blanche Williams. Now, the feud had started earlier between these two families, and it had been going on for probably at least 5 or 6 years prior to that. Now, we're going to pick up that story when I get down to the cemetery. Now we're up here at the Live Oak Church Cemetery where the Wingates were buried. Now, the Wingate Rowe feud, I don't know if anybody's really certain when or what the feud was all about. All I know is what I've heard and what was written in the newspapers of the time and what was said in court. But I know the feud happened before, or started before, 1918. Now, apparently the feud had been going on for a little while, but Scriven's Wingate's brother had come to visit, and he lived close. They were married into the Kirkland family and the Dial families, and this cemetery is also known as Dial Cemetery, as well as Live Oak. It's really windy. I hope this isn't interfering too much with the filming. But anyway, Nathan Wingate was the first one killed that I know of in this feud. Now, the story is that I don't know whether Nathan was visiting Scriven or Scriven was visiting Nathan, but either way, someone, presumably the Rowes, had set a fence post on fire while Nathan and Scriven were talking inside the house. Well, Nathan ran outside to see about the fire and was gunned down. Some say that it was a setup and they actually wanted to kill Nathan and Scriven. But Scriven survived it, and nobody actually saw who the perpetrators was. It was always just assumed, I guess, that it was the Rowes. But anyway, he was murdered on March 2nd, 1918. Now, Nathan Wingate, I believe, was married to Mary Kirkland, who's buried here beside him. I'm not sure about that, but I think so. But anyway, the Wingates, after the death of Nathan, decided to move to Dinsmore, which is on the northwest side of Jacksonville. It's really not that far from here. It's right down US 1, Kings Highway. And so, to get away from all this, well, they kept their land and their livestock. And livestock was supposedly what this whole feud was about in the first place. I don't know who was accused of what, any kind of way. Like I say, the story's kind of lost. Nobody that I know of knows for sure. But apparently livestock had been stolen some kind of way. And anyway, the Wingates decided to move to Dinsmore, but they kept the farm up here. And Lewis Kirkland and his wife kind of took over the farm. Well, I guess not much happened between 1918 and 1922. I don't know. Like I say, there's no records that show anything that happened of significance. But on August the 8th or August the 9th, Lewis Kirkland came to Dinsmore to tell Scriven and his daddy, William, that are buried here, that some of their cattle was missing, and they couldn't find them. So Kirkland went home, and William Wingate and Scriven Wingate decided they would go up to this area, take a look around and see what they could find out. Well, on the morning of August the 10th, 1922, William H. Scriven and Scriven's son, Leonard, 7-year-old youth, set out on the road to come up here to Nassau County. Well, they went to the home of Lewis Kirkland, and the court papers say that young Leonard said that they run into Elam Rowe, the father of William and Allen Rowe, on the way to the Scriven household. Now, I assume that happened. Later on in court, the father Elam said that no, he had not run into them. But anyway, Leonard, in his recollection, said that they had run into the father. So Scriven and William and Leonard went on to the Kirkland home. They got there about 10:30 in the morning, and they talked and they had lunch. Well, about 1:30 in the afternoon, or somewhere around about that time, Scriven, William, and Leonard left the Kirkland house and got out on the roads and was looking around to see if they could find the cattle that were missing or find out what had happened to them. So, as they were traveling down the road, like I said a few minutes ago, that they crossed over the creek and started up a incline. And about the time they started up the incline is when Allen Rowe and William Rowe stepped out from behind some woods and fired roughly 20 shots into the automobile. Now, like I say, it killed Scriven and William and wounded Leonard. So after they found Leonard in the car, supposedly he was in the car with the two bodies, mutilated bodies, if you can even imagine a 7-year-old being around the mutilated bodies of two men overnight. They took Leonard back to the Kirkland household and notified the authorities, and by that time other people from around the community had gathered up, and they questioned Leonard about what had happened. Now, apparently it was enough that the Rowe brothers were charged with the murder of Scriven and Wingate. They went to trial, and they were found guilty of murder. Now, I haven't been able to find any of the court transcripts other than some stuff that was actually published in the Times-Union newspaper about the time the trial was over, and afterwards in an appeal that the Rowe brothers had made. There was some discrepancies in what young Leonard had said. Now, supposedly he said that something to the effect that somebody had killed him. He didn't know who it was, but it sure wasn't them Rowe brothers. Now, that's one account. Another account says he identified the Rowe brothers. So I'm not quite sure. You know, you got to figure a 7-year-old boy was confused. And once again, I'm not taking a side either way. Now, Scriven was married to my great aunt, actually my great aunt, when all this happened. And Leonard was my grandpa's first cousin. Oh, I never spoke to Leonard or heard him tell the story. I knew Leonard, but I never heard the story directly from him. All the information I got was secondhand. So, whether the Rowes done this or not, I have no idea one way or the other. I do know they were convicted in court and they went to prison over it. But apparently they didn't spend a whole bunch of time in prison, because I know they both died later free men. And actually we're going to go over to the Primitive Baptist Church now. We're going to visit their graves for just a minute, and I'm going to try and finish up this story. So we'll meet back up over at the Primitive Baptist Church. We're out here at the Mill Creek Primitive Baptist Church Cemetery, and we're looking for the graves of the two Rowe brothers and their father that were implicated in the murder of 3 people. I've never been to this cemetery before. It's going to take me a couple of minutes, I'm sure, to find where they're at. I see some rows over here, maybe they're over here. Now, on my way up here, I'd put it into GPS to find my way up here, and it had me clear across the county, trying to come up some old farm roads with gates on them, and I had to end up coming around halfway across the world to get to this place. Anyway, there's a lot of Rowes buried over here. Now, here's one of the ones we were looking for. This is Allen Rowe, July 24th, 1889 to 1958. And behind him, under the bush back there, is William Rowe, July 11th, 1895 to February 23rd, 1970. So both of these guys lived quite some time after the killing incident. Now, their father, Elam, is buried right here somewhere with them. I don't see his grave right off the bat here. But I know that there's not a bunch on Allen Rowe, but I know William Rowe eventually become, not that he wasn't, a very prominent citizen up here, and actually become part of the police force up here in Nassau County after all this. And he headed up several associations and was a upstanding member of the community. So, all through the trial, William's wife, Winnie, and Allen's wife both had testified in court that both of their husbands were at home doing chores around the house when the shooting took place. Now, like I said before, I don't know whether they done this or not. I've always heard that they did. And Leonard testified to the fact that they were the two that done it. So, going on his word, and I have no reason to doubt Leonard. Now, you got to figure Leonard was 7 years old when this happened. So, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. But they were both definitely convicted and both went to jail for murder. Now, once again, whether the two of them was involved in the shooting of the brother, Nathan, or not, once again, I don't know. The only witness to that was Scriven, and Scriven didn't see anybody at that particular incident to implement them. It was always, I guess, just assumed that the Rowes were behind it. So, feuds were a big thing, you know. We had the Hatfield and McCoy feud, and there's been other feuds around and about the country. And, well, they took that stuff literal, and they took it serious. And you didn't mess with family, and you didn't mess with property. And sometimes things got out of hand. And I think this was one of them incidents where things went just a little bit too far, probably on both sides of the family. So, with that, I'm going to leave you with the killing and the massacre that took place on August the 10th, 1922, 100 years ago. And as always, I want y'all to know I appreciate y'all watching my videos. And I'd appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe. Kind of helps with my algorithms and gets my videos out there to people that may not normally get to see them. But anyway, once again, I appreciate your time, and we're going to call it a day and head back towards Jacksonville. And so, like I said, I appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment. Y'all have a great day, and God bless you.